You know when you're fighting in a video game, and all the guys are kind of just circling around you while one of them fights you? Well, I want to talk about that. What is that? And why are enemies that are patrolling the area not looking out at least a little bit more? What's holding them back? Is it bad design? Is it a mechanic that is inherent in a video game? Or is it something else? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, we ask the question, why do bad guys stand around in video games? Now, there's a lot of games where you have to sort of trick the bad guys. You have to stay out of their sight, you have to distract them with something, etc. Stealth games, for instance. This isn't a new idea, this is not something that just came around recently. There are games that literally did this in the 1980s. And there are people that have exploited the idea that enemies aren't always really that aware of what's going on around them to get past them without dealing with it since the 80s. And then there are beat-em-up games like everything from Battletoads to Batman Arkham Asylum. Games where you often end up with a big gang of enemies just sort of waiting their turn for when they should hit. Waiting. Why is that? What is the deal here? What are we dealing with? Sometimes it's really like, why do they design it to be like this? Well, first, let's address enemies standing around kind of waiting for something to happen. Can they see you or no? What's the deal here? Well, the fact is, video game characters are not actual people. They don't have real eyeballs, they have artistic representations of eyeballs, and so they need routines that allow them to do things that emulate that of somebody with real eyeballs. What does that mean? Well, they have sets of instructions that aren't triggered unless you're in a certain zone. When you enter that zone, they start doing the thing that they're supposed to do. For instance, once an area has been loaded, there may be several patrols that just stand around and do nothing until you get near them, and then they start walking along their patrol path as if they've been doing it all along. And certainly that's gotten a little bit better through the years, but a lot of the time, regarding how an enemy might see you, works a little different. Years ago, there used to be sort of a zone area where you could get near and they would probably notice you. It would oftentimes be a circle around them, which might kind of emulate the idea that if you were making noise walking around, you might make them notice you and they would do the thing that they're supposed to do when they notice you, which is either call for backup, alert, or perhaps fight. Now, it's not always due to the fact that you have stepped into a zone that activates whatever behavior, be it a patrol behavior or an attack behavior or whatever. It may just because something didn't load properly. There's obviously no such thing as a totally perfect product where nothing ever goes wrong. Sometimes things don't enter into the RAM the way they're supposed to, and maybe a line of code didn't completely work. Sometimes all it takes is just one line of code. Didn't get properly loaded. Sometimes it did get loaded properly, but it didn't happen at the right time, and some other parameter ignored whatever was being done as if nothing had been done, and the enemy might just stand there forever. Boy, this job sure could be a lot more interesting. Oh, there's a guy right there. I wonder if I don't move, if he won't notice me. Oh, he's choking me to death. But what if everything loaded correctly and all the zones are operating as they're supposed to, but something just doesn't happen? Well, maybe the enemies just don't have good artificial intelligence. Maybe the programmers just didn't care much about it. And if they don't care much about that, it is often a sign they don't care enough about the game to actually design it that well. So when a game doesn't have very good AI, a game critic might take that as a sign that the game may not be that good and may begin looking for other flaws. It's one of those dents in the armor that kind of is difficult to look away from. You're kind of like, how are you wearing that? Like, that doesn't look comfortable. Or maybe they might be an enemy who's kind of just designed to be there just to have something there. Not every enemy is designed to be a huge challenge, and they might intentionally not be great. Now, that's usually not the case. Usually when you see an enemy like that, it's not intentional, it's just poorly designed. But it's possible. And what else is possible is that the reason the enemies are standing around are specifically because if they were all attacking at once or all hyper aware of what was going on around them, the game would be less fun. Ultimately, the game does have to be fun. That's really the important thing about a video game. You have to enjoy it. And if in Batman, all of the enemies in the gang attacked at once and you had no way of defending yourself against all of the attacks that were just coming down on you in a barrage, well, that may not be quite as fun. You may have to just avoid combat altogether and well, as you know, Batman Arkham games are actually fun to fight in. And then there's the most obvious one of all, the tutorial stand-around guy. The guy that's just there for you to find out what it's like to execute the thing that they want you to execute. The guy that might have one stupid line talking to himself about how he wants to go somewhere later, and then you, the stealth assassin, have to go up and choke them to learn how to choke enemies, of course. There's a variety of reasons, and, well, some of them are good, most of them aren't. Most of them are kinda dumb reasons, actually. Usually artificial intelligence that results in behavior you're questioning is not good artificial intelligence. It's meant to be seamless, you know? It's meant for you not to ask, hey, what the heck was that? But sometimes it's intentional. We can't not acknowledge that. Sometimes it's fun factor, sometimes it has other reasons. But generally, it's because somebody was lazy, or maybe just not very good. In any case, does it ruin your fun factor? I want to hear from you in the comments regarding that. And if you enjoyed this video, please click like. You should also probably click the subscribe button because we upload brand new videos every single day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanks.